Hi everyone and welcome to the Dodo Bird Nerd. It's me, the Dodo Bird Nerd. And in today's Pokemon video, I'm going to be going over the extinct animal-inspired Pokemon of Generation 7. So, without any further ado, let's roll the intro and let's get started. So one quick thing before we get started, that being that all works and images used will be in the description of the video. So the general way I do this series is I divide the extinct animal-inspired Pokemon into 3 categories. The first is the exact match category. Basically, the Pokemon is exactly what you would want it to be for showing off that type of extinct animal. Close enough is next. It gets generally the idea across, but there are a few things it could do better to better show off it being an extinct animal. And finally is the how category, where there is some small piece of evidence to point it towards being a certain extinct animal, but it just does not stick the landing, and if that happens, a Pokemon will be put into the how category. Now there are 2 additional stipulations I put on my extinct animal inspired Pokemon list. The first that if it is just accidenting into being a dinosaur, basically it's just a generic lizard. But due to that, it could have something that makes it look like a dinosaur. I'm not going to cover it because they were probably not going for a dinosaur. They were probably just going for a lizard, and due to that, it ended up looking partially like a dinosaur. The other thing is, I won't be covering anything that's just a generic version of a type of animal. Basically because all types of animals have some sort of extinct predecessor, and so I'd be covering basically every single animal Pokemon, which is essentially almost all of them. There's the few inanimate objects and a few other ones, but I would, like mythological inspired ones, but I would essentially be covering almost every single Pokemon, and so that would not work out exactly well. So I'm only going to cover the ones that are basically a specific type of extinct animal, or if their entire thing is extinct, then they can be a more generic representation of that, like genus or whatever. So in that vein, I actually have an honorable mention in the series. It's the first time ever. So what is the honorable mention? That is going to be for Oricorio. Now, the reason for this is because I wanted to cover Oricorio due to the fact it is a honey creeper. And I was under the assumption that a good chunk of honey creepers were extinct. And specifically, yes, I believe over half of the nectar drinking honey creepers, which is what Oricorio would be based on, are extinct. However, not all of them, and it appears that the ones that they share most of the traits with are not extinct, but over half of them are, and so this is going in the honorable mention category, especially because one of the extinct ones, part of its name or call has "o-o" in the name or call, which Oricorio starts and ends with an O, so that could be potentially where they got part of that name from, in terms of the starting and ending with O, because that is something associated with the honey creepers, specifically an extinct one, I believe. However, it doesn't appear to show any specific design traits that were pointed to being one of the extinct ones. They appear to be just generic nectar-drinking honey creepers, and so I couldn't really fully cover it, but I did want to mention it, more so than being in a addendum video, just because I wanted to bring this up. There are 2 or 3 that I could bring up in an addendum video, those being Trumbeak, Lunala, and potentially Guzzlord, though that one's a lot weaker than the other 2, but I didn't think they had enough of a case going for them. But if you do want me to cover them in that addendum video, please let me know in the comments down below. So moving on into the actual extinct animal-inspired Pokemon, we have Dartrix and Decidueye, as all of them will start with the grass starter for these videos, and they could potentially be a Stilt Owl. Now, the reason there is no Stilt Owl image here is because I couldn't find one that I could correctly cite, because it wasn't a more modern extinct species, and we don't know a whole lot. There are some images out there of like drawings and such, but I couldn't find one I could correctly cite, so there isn't one on my slide, but you could probably Google it. You could Google it if you want to see what the general idea of what it looks like is. Now, these are an exact match. They basically are exactly what we'd want with a Stilt Owl Pokemon. They have the correct leg shape, and I mean, Decidueye becomes a ghost type, which could be for a variety of reasons, but it becoming an extinct animal is definitely a potential reason for it gaining that ghost typing. And so I'm going to give it an exact match. Yeah, there are other things added onto it, but I think this is going to be the best we get for a Stilt Owl Pokemon, and it does the job very well. So I'm going to give it an exact match ranking. The next one is one you might have expected to see in this series, well, this video specifically, that being Rockruff and Lycanroc, being both the Honshū and Hokkaido wolves. I mentioned this in my previous Pokemon video, basically talking about why I think they should be in Pokemon Legends Arceus, and I will link that video in the description below if you want to watch it. But yeah, these are another exact match because, I mean, I brought them up as evidence due to their inspiration that they should be in Pokemon Legends Arceus, and they look a lot like the two extinct wolves. Okay, not including Lycanroc Midnight. He doesn't count. He's here because the rest of the Lycanrocs, but he doesn't really have any of those traits. He's just here to show off the rest of the Lycanrocs. But the other two, you can't really have the one. You can't have all. You have to have all three. So he doesn't really count, but the other two definitely go towards that extinct wolf inspiration. He really doesn't, but he's here anyway. But those two, which are the main ones I'm judging, along with Rockruff, do get an exact match for being both a Honshū and Hokkaido wolf. The next one is Wimpod, which could be a Trilobite. And yeah, this is another exact match. It looks almost exactly like a Trilobite, at least based on the skeleton or whatever, and generally what people think. I mean, there's a few things, but yeah, it's a Trilobite. It does a better job than the Trilobite Pokemon from Generation 1 at being a Trilobite, to say the least. And yeah, it's definitely a Trilobite, and it does get an exact match, as I mentioned previously, which means that we are currently 3 for 3 for exact matches in this video. That isn't going to last for our fourth and final one. Just going to say that now. The fourth and final group is going to be Jangmo-o, Hakamo-o, and Kommo-o, which are potentially based on types of Ankylosaurus. Now, this is going to be a close enough, with the reasoning being that they don't look exactly like an Ankylosaur. Like, there are definitely some things that are different, but the scale motif in them could definitely be linked to an Ankylosaur, as well as their tails could also definitely be linked to an Ankylosaur. But the other thing that gets them off, other than the head shape and all that, and like they normally don't have scales on the head on an Ankylosaur, well, some, but definitely on the pattern, is that they become bipedal, and Ankylosaurs were definitely not a bipedal animal, and so that's going to give it that close enough ranking, because other than, like, generally the head shape's not exactly ideal, so it is a close enough. It does get most of the traits right, the scale inspiration and the club-like tail, or the tail with stuff on it, in this case, not really a club. But I'll give it a close enough. I would definitely want a better Ankylosaur Pokemon than these. These are okay at it, but they could definitely do a better job at getting an Ankylosaur Pokemon at some time in the future. So, that is the entirety of my Generation 7 Extinct Animal Inspirations video. What do you think of the Pokemon I discussed today? Let me know in the comments down below. Do you think I should fully cover those 3 Pokemon I mentioned earlier in the video? Let me know in the comments down below. And one quick thing I'd just like to mention is that the next episode in the series is going to be the final episode of this series for now, because Generation 8 is as far as we've gone when I'm doing the series. I will be releasing one for Generation 9 when we see all those Pokemon out. And if there are new Pokemon in like Legends Arceus or whatever, and they are an Extinct Animal Inspiration, I will do a short little addendum video. So there will be the Generation 8 one, and then there will be the addendum video. I forgot that one briefly. But yeah, it'll be those 2 videos, and that would be it. So I will be moving on to other types of Pokemon related to content. Mostly probably closely related to that one video I did, the last Pokemon video I did with that Lycanroc and being Legends Arceus series, so going more into in-depth zoological things in Pokemon than just going over the Extinct Animal Inspirations of Pokemon. But I will still bring up this series when new Pokemon are revealed, just to keep it up to date and such, like, and stuff like that. So, with that little spiel out of the way, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Bye!